All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Peter NG, and welcome back to Catching Up, the podcast where conversations don't end when the bell rings. Today, I'm reconnecting with Bella Maddox, who's now working with the YMCA in risk and finance support. And I've always remembered them for their positive, bubbly attitude and just regularly popping in class and giving me life updates. So I'm super excited to get a chance to talk with you. Um, Bella, let's get started from the top. How have you been?
I've been good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. I'm enjoying my 10th year of teaching. It's been quite the journey. I finished last year my master's of educational leadership,
hmm
so I've been trying to see where that might take me in my future and stuff, which is exciting. But yeah, right now we're in the process of spring break, and so I get to relax a little more and sleep in, which is certainly needed.
Yeah, no, I bet. I just got off a cruise where the kids that I was with, they're going on to spring break right now, so it was exciting for
Oh,
them.
nice. Where'd you go on a cruise?
We just went to the Bahamas. It was a short 3 day Disney. So,
Okay, my wife really wants to do a cruise. We've been looking at Virgin Voyages, I think is what it's called.
hmm
Um, so maybe that might be a thing we do next year, but
People
I'll let
love
her know. She says
Virgin.
hello, by the way.
Aww, hi
So for the
Queen.
people listening, would you mind sharing how we know each other?
Oh my goodness, yes. You were you were my anatomy teacher my junior year.
Hmm.
And funny enough, I remember begging my guidance counselor to not let me take your class.
Well, that's
I
good to hear.
I loved your class, but I'm not, as we know, I was not a fan of the human body until I started taking your class. Um, And I remember freshman and sophomore year, I took like all of my science classes. I was like, I'm done. I don't want to see a science class ever again. And my guidance counselor was like, nope, you have to. And I got you. And I remember telling, can I say names?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I remember telling Tesh and being like, I have Mr. NG next period. And he was like, oh, he's so nice. And I remember thinking you were just going to be like, just like Tesh. Because Tesh is like, he's
I
so
mean, I would take that
nice.
as a compliment. I consider him to be a very
Oh, he's
well loved
wonderful.
teacher, and he's really good at what he does. So
Mhm.
I take that as a
Yes.
compliment for sure.
Yes, but you were not what I was expecting, but I loved you. I still love you very much.
I
You're still one
appreciate
of
it.
my favorite people. But yes, and then you went on to be my, I don't know what it was called, my mentor for the club.
Yeah,
What?
club sponsor. I think
There you
mentor is
go.
also a fair place to be, considering how
Mhm.
often we chatted.
Yes, yes. And then I don't know, I guess we're now friends. So,
True. Do you feel comfortable calling me by my first name?
no.
I've yet to have a single interview with a former student that's just like, "Hey, Peter, how you doing?" And I get it. I understand that that's a little strange for people, so it's not a big deal.
I
Um,
mean,
but it's funny you say that. Like, I mean, I am a little curious, just to refresh my memory, like where your I don't know if distaste or just really did not want to pursue learning about the human body, where that came from. But you're not the first person to have an original thought or like a perspective or perception of me that turns out to be quite different. And I don't know if it's just my size or my demeanor. I try to be friendly on day one
mhm.
and show that I'm a very lighthearted person, but I've had countless students over the years that are like, "Yeah, I thought you were super intimidating." I'm like, "Okay, I don't try to be."
No, I don't think you were intimidating. It was just more of like in my head, I was expecting because to me, Tesh only hung out with like older teachers, and so I was expecting you to be old.
Mm,
That was
okay,
my big thing, but you were
fair
not.
enough. I mean, I'm getting there now. I'm in my mid 30s, so
No, you're
it
not.
time flies. So before we start our first segment, would you mind sharing a little bit about why you were concerned about taking a class learning about the body?
Um, well, I still hate blood to this day.
Mm.
And I just always thought it was going to be something that came up a lot, which it did. And it's like to the point where I get really grossed out, like even thinking about it sometimes. So I was really nervous. But it was either anatomy or physics. And I said, "Are you insane? Don't put me in a physics
Those are
class
very
right now."
polarizingly different sciences, so I get that.
Yeah,
I mean, apart from our dissections, there weren't too many instances, and yeah, we did learn about the blood, but I don't think there were too many gory moments in our class.
no, I was expecting more.
You're
So,
expecting more? Okay. Got you. Got you. So while we're here, let's go ahead and jump into that first segment. So something I like to start off the episode with is just talking about what is something that you learned today. So I
okay.
can start if you'd like me to, or if you'd like to go
Yeah.
first.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I have it on my phone, so I'm going to read from my phone here.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the One Piece live action on Netflix?
No, not at
Okay,
all.
fair enough. One Piece, ultra popular anime and manga. It's become like an international mega hit, especially with the live action. Um, but the actor who plays Sanji, he's this Spanish guy named Taz Skylar. He committed hardcore for the role. So he learned Sanji in the show and in the comic is a chef, and he uses his legs to kick enemies. So his feet are his most proficient tool for weaponry. And his philosophy behind that is that he only uses his hands to cook because he loves cooking. So Skylar or Taz, he learned how to cook like for the shots that they use in the show, legitimately. He took Taekwondo classes so he can better stunt perform, and they still have stunt actors.
Mhm.
Um, and I saw behind the scenes. There's a scene in the second season that currently just came out where he's doing like bartender tricks and flipping bottles around. He learned how to do that himself. Like he had a lot of mistakes and dropped bottles constantly, like the plastic bottles. But I was
Mhm.
like, that's such a cool dedication to the craft. You know, normally it's very easy to just like CG this stuff and just say, hey, or someone else would do it and say, hey, we'll have a stunt double. But I thought that was kind of cool.
That is
So that's what I
cool.
learned today. How about you, Bella?
Um, so I have recently become very fond of dinosaurs. Don't ask me why.
Dinosaurs. Oh, okay.
Yes. Don't ask me why. I just have really grown fond of them. I feel motherly about them. And I read to
Motherly.
I feel very motherly about them. But I just found out today that my favorite dinosaur, the Stegosaurus, had the a brain the size of a walnut. It was only
That's the one with the
3.
long neck, right?
No, the Stegosaurus is the one with the pointy back. I don't know what
Oh,
the one.
okay, okay, okay. I'm sorry. I'm not the most proficient. What's very easy to learn in these episodes is that my general knowledge is relatively lacking. But yes, if you when you did the pointy back thing, that's when I was like, oh, I've seen that one before. Okay, so you're saying
Yeah.
the Stegosaurus has a brain the size of a walnut?
Yes, it was only 3 centimeters long and only
Wow.
weighed 0.75 grams.
Do you know if it was smarter or had a larger brain than Tyrannosaurus Rex
It
or
definitely
other
had a
T?
smaller brain. It was one of the dumbest dinosaurs, but it isn't considered the dumbest. I think it was something with a P compared to like brain and body size.
Oh,
It was
interesting. It was an
so.
herbivore, right? It just ate plants.
I believe Stegosauruses were carnivores, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
Listen, I'm here to learn too. So I'm glad you're able to share some valuable information with me. So while we're here, why don't we focus a little bit on what you're currently up to? So you said you're working with the YMCA in risk and one more time, um,
Finance.
risk and finance support. Could you elaborate
Mhm.
what that means?
So, um, I mostly help out with risk. I just do a little bit on the finance side. I help out with like the philanthropy side of the YMCA. Most of the time for risk, it's just risk management. We have to go through um, different things that happen at our YMCA's. We have 14 locations across Central Florida, lots of different people coming in and out. We just got to make sure that everything is going to plan, up to code, everything. And then finance, I mostly, like I said, help out with the philanthropy department. So anyone who is donating, pledging any money to the YMCA, kind of just go through the back end and make sure that it's all correct. Um, Make sure that we get the money that they promised, or if it's waiting, going to the banks, making sure that all of our accounts are pretty much settled. Um, Things like that. It kind of
That's
changes
pretty
every day on
important.
the
I
risk
mean,
side. So,
okay, gotcha. I mean, was the YMCA? I think you might have said this earlier. Is the YMCA a non for profit or?
yes, the YMCA is a non for profit.
Okay, got it. So, I mean, the philanthropic stuff is valuable to ensure that they can keep functioning and not have to shut down different locations. Do you only work in the Central Florida area?
Yes. So each YMCA kind of has like their different associations. So we're the YMCA of Central Florida. So we have 14 locations all the way like out in Titusville and then Ocala. And then we have most of ours are in Orlando, Seminole area. Um, but I think we have a few different associations across Florida itself.
Oh,
But I only
okay,
do Central Florida.
got you. And regarding your the philanthropic side of things that you were mentioning, does that also require, like, I don't know if cold calling might be the thing, but just like reaching out to people with more finances to say, hey, are you willing to donate to your local YMCA?
So I don't do that anymore. We don't really do cold calling. We normally send out like mail out letters. Would you
Mm,
like to donate? If you do, you can send a check or bring it into the facilities. I pretty much am not a front facing person when it comes to finance. I am only in like data analysis. Um, so I'm fully in the back, just making sure that all of the finances across the board are just set, and
okay.
everything kind of equals out.
Do you work from home or you go to the office for that?
It depends on the day. So um, most of the time I like to work from home, but of course sometimes it is nice to go in the office. For the risk side, I tend to travel to our other locations. So last week I went to Winter Park, Oviedo. I've gone to our location in Titusville. I had to go back to our location in Titusville tomorrow, but most of the
Okay,
time
so
I'm
you're
traveling or at home.
gotcha. Okay, so you're moving around quite a bit. And the risk evaluation, is that just can you confirm what that, or can you elaborate further on the risk side?
So risk, things like workers' comp. If people get
Okay,
injured at our facilities, I have to go make sure that we have everything like set. Dealing with like insurance claims that we have, dealing with different. So right now we're setting up for our summer camps. So I'm working on having like making sure that all of our camp counselors have first aid kits. They know where the fire exits are. Setting up those types of plans for them. Also having an EAP, which I know that a lot of schools have, like an emergency protection plan.
right.
Just making sure that like in case something does happen, they know the steps of action, what to do, and who to call, um, things like that. We're setting up
Okay.
um, like youth protection committees to kind of help with making sure that we are. There's a company called Presidium, which
Hmm.
is working with like making sure that locations don't. I guess it's hard to explain, but it's for child abuse. So making sure that we are certified with them and we have the qualifications that can meet that
Right.
certification. Um, so we're just trying to work with that right now. Um,
Okay.
Lots of
I
things for
mean,
summer camp.
it's a very necessary role, but I would have never. I don't know. I'm very interested to get further into that conversation with like taking a reflective look back in high school. Because if you would have asked me what I thought you would be doing out of high school, I don't know if I would have ever thought that. But I think that kind of speaks to how adulthood is, how things don't always play out the way we want them to or expect them to. and
Mhm.
you kind of find yourself in different positions, and you try to do the best that you can. So that's super interesting. So
Yeah.
I guess while we're on that topic, let's take a reflection moment and look back at high school,
Oof.
a time that is so tumultuous and hormonal and full of change, right? Um, I know you had a very difficult freshman year, and this was before I got a chance to meet you. Um, and then I got a chance to teach you in junior year. So if I'm looking at this correctly, you graduated 2021. So I
Mhm.
taught you 2020. So that means you were part of the class where we were together for the fall and then didn't see each other for the rest of the spring.
Mhm.
How was that for
Yep.
you?
Um, it was honestly, it had its ups and downs. Um, I COVID was a very hard time for me to learn that, people don't hold your hand through everything. And that was a big eye-opening thing for me because my mom would help out a lot, as we know. Um, and she was gone for a lot of COVID, um, for personal things.
Hmm.
So I had to figure out things all by myself. And so I will say I'm very grateful because I was able to learn these things and be able to kind of work through life a little bit better. Um, but it was also very difficult because, as we know, I am a creature of habit. I also love people, and not
Yeah,
being able to see everyone was so difficult. I, I fell into a really big funk because the only person I saw was my mom and Nittany, and that was it. And I loved
right.
both of
I
those
mean,
people.
were you watching my videos I was recording for
Yes,
lecture?
yes, and those blue button
Oh, big blue button. Oh
yes.
gosh.
So I mean, I definitely liked staying home most of the time,
Of
but
course.
I also missed going in and getting like
That
person
that's the
interaction.
part that I think, you know, now it's been so many years since we experienced that. I hear kids constantly still have issues where they're like, why are we here? Why do we need to learn this stuff? This sucks, etc. And while I think there's many faults with the education system, something that our education system has actually excelled at is the social development side of things. And especially when it's such a large school, you do get kind of thrust into learning about other people and meeting other people and human interaction. And what we originally may have thought was going to be a week to 2 week process obviously did not turn out that way. In 2021, were you on campus like when there was like so little kids, or did you also stay home?
So I did like the first semester home and then I came back.
Okay, a
Um
lot of kids ended up doing that, and I totally understand why. Um, yeah, yeah, it was just a very turmoil filled moment of life that the teachers, the admin, everybody didn't really know what we were doing, so we were attempting our best to get through it. We had a graduation for you guys, right?
we
2021.
had the two. So we had the A through L and then the M
That's
through
right, and it was
Z.
because of trying to separate how many people because we're such large senior classes. Okay, wow, that's a bit of a relic. We haven't had double graduations in quite some time.
Mhm.
um, That's right. Okay. 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 Wow. Okay. It's really all flooding back to me as far as how things were during that time period.
Mhm.
Um, is there any other moment from, it could be my class, it could be just high school in general, that really stands out to you? I mean, COVID's a big one, and I get that.
I don't know. High school for me, I had so much happening outside of high school that like being at school kind of felt like I was okay for 5 seconds, like it
Oh, I
was,
see.
which I think is not like people didn't think of school to be like a safe space. I did, and I don't know. I really enjoyed. I mean, of course everyone has like their days where like they don't want to be at school. But like
Right.
I loved going to school. I didn't necessarily love all the learning that I was doing, but I liked being there and I liked being around people. Um I
You're not the only one that goes through that. I know, like, I agree. It is not the norm, but I do think that there's definitely a lot of other kids out there nationwide that their home life is going through some things, and school is truly that place where everything seems as normal as it can. Um, and it's something that a lot of people take for granted, you know.
mhm,
Um, so yeah,
yeah.
as you were saying, just overall, school felt like you're normal, at peace, neutral, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I had my two favorites as we know. It was you and Tesh.
Yep,
I don't
yep.
think you either of you could get me to leave your classrooms.
There were many times where you'd come in. I'm like, I'm in the middle of teaching something, but sure, you could take a seat.
Yeah, I mean, why not? But I remember you dressing up as a Power Ranger for
Yep, that was
Halloween.
one of my Halloween costumes.
I remember that. And there was so many other things that happened. It wasn't even that long ago, but sometimes it feels like such a blur.
Yeah,
Like,
I get that. I mean, the time for you isn't, like you said, as drastic, but you're in a very different stage of life right now.
mhm,
So you start to kind of push some of that stuff back because it's just really not as necessary for you in your new life that you're living. Um,
yeah.
I'm sure you remember you taught me a very famous and prolific book character that I had never heard of, and I don't know if it's just a generational thing. But do you want to share with the audience who that was?
I don't remember
Oh, come
what
on,
character.
Bella. Yeah, it was the cat, Pete the cat with
Oh,
the with
Pete the cat.
the I still
Yes,
think of you anytime I see the pop up or the kids book wherever. It could be the media center, it could be a bookstore. Because I didn't know what Pete the cat was, but then I see
yes.
the name association obviously, but then like the red Converse that I used to own, which unfortunately those have broken quite a while ago. Uh,
No.
I got a
Oh,
new pair of Converse, but they're not red. Um,
every and it's so funny because whenever I see Pete the cat, I think of you too. So it's okay. It's the same.
I see. So the association still exists, even though you
Yes.
had forgotten Pete.
I was like, well, I don't know what I because I was like, I have read so many books, and you want to know, as I was thinking about the last question, I was thinking about your love of a series of unfortunate events because I
Yeah.
read the first two because you had them all in your classroom.
Yep. Yep.
I was like,
Have you
it's like
finished them or
no,
ah you're missing out. You're missing
I read the first two.
out. Okay. I mean, that's better than none.
Yeah.
Clearly the series didn't do enough for you to say, hey, let me keep going.
Well, all of his whatever his name is,
Lemony
Lemon.
Snicket, yeah.
Yes, all of his beginnings were so sad. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Okay, that's fair. It is a very acquired taste when it comes down to that tone that he writes
Yeah,
in.
it's
Um,
very sad.
but yes, yes, that's fair. Um, when you were in, let's say 16, 17 years of age, that would have been that would have been about the age of my class, right?
Yeah, because I graduated when I was 17, so junior
Okay,
year to
got
senior
you.
year.
What did you picture your life looking like? Like, let's say 5 year plan, or not even strictly 5 year, but just adulthood.
Not in Florida.
Not in Florida.
Um,
Okay.
Probably. I actually don't even know. I always thought that I would end up like in some sort of law thing, especially because of my
Okay.
mom.
Sure.
Which I think like I I don't do as much with finance. I do a lot more with risk. So, that definitely is on that side, but I don't know. I honestly, and not to sound like sad, but like I honestly didn't really see much of my future. And it was mostly just because everything in my life that had led up to that moment had been very much of this is what's happening now. You need to
Right.
pay attention. And so, of course, I was worked towards like having a good future, but I could never fully think of like this is it, like this is what I want. And you know, I feel like Nittany always had a very big, like she knew exactly what she was going to do. She knew exactly where she was going to go, all that stuff. So it was very different to see how that, especially because like we were best friends during that time,
Right.
to kind of have that person in my life to be like, you can think of these things. But honestly, my only thing was like not in Florida, which of course I'm still in Florida. But it's
You
okay
lived in New
now.
York for a while, though, right?
I did. And I had a very wonderful time there and it was awesome. And I'm very grateful that I had that experience. I met a lot of different people, had a lot of different things happen, and lots of rats, lots of
Lots
rat
of rats.
friends. Yes, lots of rats. But I I'm good. I'm fine that I'm back in Florida, or I'm okay that I'm in Florida. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Life is weird. As we know, I've had a very strange adolescence into early adulthood.
Sure.
So, which
I
we can
think
totally talk
experience
about if
things.
you.
Oh no, yeah, yeah, it's totally your comfort level. But I in my talks with you and what I've learned, and just what I've seen, you've dealt with difficulties that most people will rarely ever deal with, at least this early in life. And the fact that you're able to keep your head on your shoulders and for all intents and purposes be a fully functioning normal human being, that is a lovely person to be around. That is so admirable. And yeah, I mean, everyone deals with things very differently, obviously. But I think that does speak to a large reason or a large factor as to maybe why, for you, you're like, I don't really know. I don't really
Mhm.
know what the next 5 to 10 years are going to be. I got bigger fish to fry right now. And, that's something that not everyone necessarily has that luxury of thinking so far ahead when things may immediately be chaotic. Um, so I always admired that from you, that you found ways to deal with things that are very difficult and were very challenging for anyone of that age and for anyone period, and adapt and push through, and try to survive, really. So that's always something that I always uh, thought fondly of when it came down to who you were. Um,
Thank you.
while we're on the note of
Hmm.
high school time period, um, we kind of talked about this already. We said, is there anything that did you feel like life was figured out? And I don't know if that's necessarily the answer. Do you feel like you had things figured out back then?
No,
No.
I think I thought I did. You know, and then of course, you know, COVID happened, and then things just kept happening, and
Yeah.
I don't know anything, and I still feel like I don't know anything, and I I feel, you go through these phases of like you feel like you have a grasp on a certain situation, and then you look at it from a different perspective, and it's like this is not what I thought it was at all,
Hmm.
and it's just so. I think that's a part of growing up as well. Is I love to tell my therapist that like growing up is so lonely because you kind of have to figure things out on your own. Of course, you have like your support system,
Yeah.
but there's things that you just kind of have to figure out just from living or doing or just existing, honestly.
Right.
Like no one else is there to kind of help you in these situations. And so I think that just like getting older and growing up, it's just everything that I thought I knew has kind of had like a different light added to it. And then
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, wait, I didn't think about this at all. I would like to say that when I was in high school, I think freshman and sophomore year, I honestly thought like I had everything down. And then junior and senior, I was like, what the heck is even happening? I don't
Not
know what I'm
really.
doing right now.
Yeah.
Like what is there what am I doing?
Hmm.
What is out there?
Sure.
And I don't know. I'm dealing with that right now with one of the kids that like I just went on the cruise with. He's turning 13 and he thinks that he knows everything and I'm like, man, I wish I had that mentality.
Well, we're about to get into that in just a second, so it's perfect segue. I do want to quickly add that everything you're talking about as far as like a very lonely experience of growth. I feel that I've had that moment in my 20s and in my 30s as well, where I reach walls and I reach barriers that feel very frustrating. Where sometimes I feel like I want someone to tell me what to do, or I want someone to guide me through this and give me all the answers, because that's easy, but
Mhm,
it doesn't always work like that. And not to mention, the answers you may get may not be what's best for you.
mhm,
And so, while it is a lonely experience and can feel that way, it's ultimately a necessary opportunity of growth, that you can look back on and say, yeah, I've become a new person, or I've become someone better because of that. So that's important that you've had that opportunity to think about that and think that through. So earlier, you were kind of hinting towards this as far as the frustrations you've seen with talking to people that are younger than you. So let's get into our next big segment, and we're going to transition ourselves into a slightly different direction. So, what would you tell yourself if you had the opportunity to sit in front of your 16 or 17-year-old version?
mm. Appreciate the time that you have with people. I I didn't appreciate a lot of things with just across the board, you know? Just like taking time and just being there with people. I feel like, you know, my generation was, I mean, we definitely grew up with phones, and that was
Yep,
all it was. It was just phone, phone, phone. And I will say, I'm still addicted to my phone and I'm still
as
addicted
am
to
I.
my electronics.
As
Yeah.
am I.
But just sitting with people and just listening, I feel like there were so many people that like I don't see or I don't talk to or just, lost through circumstances that I just wish I would have just sat and appreciated my time with them. And I feel like that's another thing with, you know, the generation that I see now. And I just feel like, people just don't they just don't see that what they have in front of them is important. And, losing my mom has really taught me that. It's like um sometimes I just want to go and I just want to sit with my mom and I don't have that
Right.
opportunity and I wish I would have done that more or just sit, with like I don't know. I loved sitting in your classroom and I appreciated it so much because I couldn't use my phone. you know?
Yeah, true.
And not
I
even
mean, kids,
yeah, you didn't really
we
have
have
like
our
a specific
policies now
rule.
about that. Yeah, yeah. Now it's a rule, but I mean, even then, kids are still pushing on that constantly. But I get it. I get what you're going at with that.
but not like I would tell myself to just slow down and cuz you're always racing towards something else. I feel like you're always like wanting it to be you're wanting it to be tomorrow. Today was a bad day.
Hmm.
Oh, well, tomorrow it is. Well, why don't we try to like work on today? And I guess just taking the time and just focusing on that. And that's taken me a
Sure.
very long time. And I will say I'm still bad at it, but I
But
try.
you can recognize it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do you think that version of Bella would have like taken that advice and like accepted it and said like, yeah, you're right?
It depends on the information I would have told her. I don't
Mm,
depends on what if I could have told her like everything, I'm sure she would. But if I was just saying, "Hey, slow down, appreciate it," I think she'd have told me to f off and go away. So
Okay.
she's gonna be like, "Oh, well, there's TikTok now, so whatever, have
Right.
fun." So
Okay, that's fair. That's understandable. Um, Now that you've had some more time to grow, what are you 20 now, Bella? 21?
I'm 22. I turned
Oh my
23
god,
this
it's been
year.
a long time. Sorry. 22. Okay, I swear I can do basic math when I actually think about it.
It's
I
okay.
was off the cuff.
It's okay.
But now that you're 22 and it has been a little bit of time since you were at that age, is there something you can look back to your high school time period and your teenagehood that you're proud of now that you didn't see back then?
Um, I'm very proud of how my attitude was. I think, and I still have the same attitude to this day, but I'm very grateful that I was able to continue to stay positive and nice to people, like no matter what was happening through my life.
Hmm.
And, you know, there have been so many people that have told me, like you have said, that like I was bubbly and a fun person to talk to. And, you know, I love hearing that because I love being happy. And I love like giving positive energy out, which I know sounds like silly sometimes.
No, I agree with that. I feel that.
But it's like if I can make your day better just by being nice, I feel accomplished, you know? And I don't want to say like that's like the only thing that matters. It's just like me being like nice to you. But it was I'm very cuz I had a lot of stuff happen to me in high school that it just felt like bam 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 bam.
Yeah.
And I was able to still, you know, do the work that I wanted to do and be positive and be nice. And I didn't have like a mope around personality, or I didn't feel like I moped often, you know. And I was able to use a lot of the bad stuff that had happened to me to do good, especially with DVC. Sorry,
Hmm.
not DVAC. DVC is
Yep,
Disney
yep,
Vacation Club.
DVAC, yep.
um,
Which, for anyone who doesn't know, that was for domestic violence awareness. That was the
yes,
club that Bella helped start and lead.
I did start it. What do you mean help? That was me.
Sorry, okay, you did start it, but
I
I mean,
did.
you had Nittany helping you, and you had a lot of other people helping you as well. But yes,
Yeah.
you were the lead of the club.
Yeah. Well, I felt very, happy that I was able to take my experience and help other people, that were in the and to this day I still help with Harbor House, and because I work right down the street from them, and
Oh,
I
cool,
do one of our philanthropy directors. She used to work for Harbor House, and so we connected, and so I still help out with that. So I'm very grateful that my job has still led me to continue to appreciate and volunteer with Harbor House. And so I feel
awesome.
very happy that I am a good person, I think. So,
I feel that I agree with that. My observation is the same. I can tell you this much as your former teacher, and I don't know if all teachers all feel this way, but I'm a human too. I have highs and lows, and I have good days and I have bad days. And when I was not having the best of days, or a class was being particularly irritating, the days you pop up, it 100% lifted me up. And it was a great experience just chatting with you and talking with you and catching up with you. Or if I needed some help with something, you were always there to assist me. So that was 100% something I remember very, very fondly. And I feel like exactly what you were saying came out to be the truth, that I think most of your peers would feel that way too, if they thought about how things were with you. Um, so with our final time here towards the tail end of the pod, uh, I like to look ahead and see what's coming down the pike and what's, what are we working towards. So, Bella, if you want to share with us what's something you're actively working on.
so I am currently renovating a house right now.
Renovating a
Um,
house. Okay.
yes. So, um, when my mom died, I inherited two properties, one here in Orlando and one in Virginia.
Mm.
Can I say Orlando? Are we are
Yeah,
we
yeah,
good?
no
Okay.
problem. I'm not expecting to get doxxed anytime soon, so you're
Okay.
good.
Okay. Um, so I'm currently renovating the house here in Orlando so I can move in. So I'll be right down the street. So
Wow.
I'll
Okay.
come and say hi during lunch again.
You're more than welcome. No problem with that.
Um, but yeah, so I've been renovating a house. I'm supposed to move in end of April, beginning of May. So that's been very fun. And then I'm going to be going to Europe in June.
Wow. By yourself?
Yes. Well, I'm starting off the first 2 weeks in Paris with a friend, and then the rest of the time, um, about 6 weeks, it'll be just me.
That's adventurous. I did something sort of like that in high school, where I went to Cadiz, Spain, in the southern tip near Gibraltar. But I was spending my time there with an aunt who I had not met yet, so I got to spend time with her. But yeah, people I've met that do these types of trips, I'm always a little jealous of that because like I don't view myself as someone who finds a difficult time talking with people or being somewhere that I'm not super familiar. But it's a whole nother beast. It's a whole nother animal. You know, when you're in a new country that may not speak the same language as you or as fluently as you, and just saying, I'm gonna figure it out. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I always told myself that if something was going to happen, I was going to disappear and no one's ever going to hear from me again. And of course, that did not happen.
Uh,
Everyone still hears from me to this day. I am not leaving, but I just thought it would be a good time for me to just explore and be 20, 22, 23, because I spent a lot of my teen years taking care of my parents, and
yeah.
so just being able to be an adult and 20s and maybe a little reckless, hopefully not too
Listen,
reckless.
this is the time of year. This is the time of your life to do that.
Yeah.
Truly, and it's that's the time where you get to form lifelong memories and learn and just explore. So I love that for you. So that hopefully will be very memorable and just something that is life altering in the right way.
Mhm.
So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Our final question before we conclude:
Mhm.
back when we were in high school, even in college, so much of what growth is evaluated by is much more binary as far as like grades. Are you getting A's? Attendance? Are you showing up to class on time? All factors like that, right? Now that you're in your early 20s, as you corrected me, how does growth look like for you?
Oof. I I honestly don't know. I don't think growth is very linear for me at all, in the sense of, I kind of feel like a tree sometimes. Sometimes I'm going out this way or going out the other way. Um, I guess, you stumped me.
That's a good tree pun. I like that
Yeah,
answer though, of like, it's not, instead of it being a linear path which we're traditionally expected to follow. It's more just branching pathways and you choosing, okay, I'm taking this path or that path. Um, and I think especially with how your life has gone so far, why not? Why
yeah,
not say I'm just going to try this and see where it goes and follow this path and take it as long as I need to. And sometimes, like a tree, the branch is only so long, and then you say, okay, never mind, onto a new branch, or other times that branch extends as far as possible and has ripening fruit on it or whatever, as far as you want to take the metaphor.
yeah,
But I like that. I think that's a good way to think of growth at this stage of life for you.
yeah. I just want to be there. I just like showing up for people and just being there. So,
I like
yes.
that. Okay. So, Bella, if you have any final thoughts or any final statement you'd like to make before I close this off.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I guess if you guys can ever take NG's class, please do. But
Okay,
I
that's a
don't.
very positive compliment. I appreciate that. Those are good words of trust and remark.
Well, I will say, I mean, I'm so sorry, but I don't remember anything about anatomy.
You're
But
telling me if you were on Jeopardy and there was an anatomy category, you wouldn't get like one of those questions right?
maybe if we really want to test it, we can
Oh
figure that
my
one out.
gosh. Okay, I won't put you
Um,
too much on the spot, but you're gonna make me ask you a question. How many
oh,
bones are in the adult human body?
it's more than 82.
You're right. I mean, you're not wrong. But it's 206 bones. So, listen, if you ever pop back into class, you can kind of do a quick refresher and make sure you're still clock locked in with everything.
Yeah, well, now this makes me feel silly, but I was gonna say, I think I learned so much about life in your class than anything else, which is
That's
honestly much more
honestly
important
something I
to me.
aim for. Obviously, okay. Well, let me rephrase before I sound like a terrible teacher. I'm trying to make sure I still teach the core curriculum and all about human body anatomy and physiology. But I also realize that a lot of kids that take my class aren't going to become doctors or nurses or medical professionals. So I also want them to take something out of my class that they can remember and enjoy. And if that just means me trying to be like a mentor role and trying to lead by example, then great. That mission accomplished for me.
Mhm.
So I want to thank you for being here again, Bella, and appreciate you catching up with me today. And for the
Mhm.
rest of you guys, I want to thank you for listening to Catching Up, where conversations continue beyond the classroom. I'll see you next time.